Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I've got a concert review for you, a show that I went to yesterday evening at the legendary Norwich Waterfront, a sticky floored, quite dank, damp, old warehouse cellar looking place, but a historic venue nonetheless. A venue that in fact I have seen countless acts from Cannibal Corpse to Cradle of Filth, Amon Amarth, Sabaton, Magnum, countless names. But last night, I was there for the mighty power metal rising stars Gloryhammer, with excellent support from Brothers of Metal, one of my favourite bands actually at the minute, I will say, but certainly one of my favourite power metal bands, and up and coming Finnish act Arion. So arriving shortly after doors opened at 7 o'clock, the first act on, previously mentioned there, is Arion, a band who I believe they just have the 2 albums to their name. I have these 2 anyway. I'm not quite sure if there's more, probably more in the pipeline somewhere. So we have this album, Life Is Not Beautiful, and we have this album from last year, 2021, which is called Vultures Die Alone. I would describe these guys as a power metal band, essentially, but if we really want to go deep into those pigeonholes, go right into those rabbit warrens, they're more like melodic power metalcore. They have crushing breakdowns and plenty of melody. Plenty of very sort of high-pitched chant moments. We've got the essential melodic stuff in there, but it's definitely power metal. I feel like this is a band that is in their infancy, yes, but I feel like they've got a lot of potential to go to quite a high status in the power metal world. They did a really good, short but sweet set. They did some cracking renditions of a couple of really heavy numbers from this particular album, namely Punish You, which has some solid breakdowns, and then they did a great version of Unforgivable in there as well. We had a few tracks from last year's album. We had Bloodline, great rendition of that track, and we had a few other tracks scattered through there as well. But overall, a really good band, tight musicians. You can tell that they don't sit really comfortably in the power metal kind of genre. They can't be pigeonholed in that all that easily, I don't think. They've got more of a modern edge. Looking at the band aesthetically, they have the charisma and the stage presence more of a metalcore band than they do of a traditional power metal band. Certainly not too many Viking costumes or crazy space warriors costumes running around. None of that. They're just young musicians doing their thing. But really good. Short but sweet, enjoyable set. I would say they're certainly a band worth checking out. Not to give away too many hints, but they will be appearing as a band that you need to hear fairly soon, where I'll go into a little bit more depth. Following on, after a very brief detour to the merch stall for this lovely article, as I say, I am a huge Brothers of Metal fan, and Brothers of Metal took the stage next, and they delivered a superb set. Really fantastic band, such stage presence. They really were in serious danger of upstaging the headliners. I have to say, they were on top form. The crowd absolutely loved it. There was great crowd response, absolutely lapped it up. What was particularly great about this set, I have to say, is that I think this was their first UK tour. On the back of these 2 albums, their debut, Prophecies of Ragnarok, and the Emblast Saga, which came out in 2020, the second album, 2 absolutely stunning albums, which I've talked about not that long ago in my very first episode of Bands You Need to Hear. And if you haven't heard Brothers of Metal, on the back of my recommendation, you've neglected that, then you need to check these guys out. They are absolutely killer. Killer on stage, killer on CD. So they didn't play really the songs that I thought they would go for. I thought they would go for some of the bigger hits, or certainly the singles from their latest album, Power Snake, Chainbreaker. They didn't do that. What they did is they went for tracks that were slightly less obvious, really, but equally as killer. From the last album, we had Njord, we had Ride of the Valkyries as well. 2 superb songs, excellently delivered, really great stuff, just mesmerising, chant along. You could not help but have that fist in the air and those horns raised. Stellar stuff. Then we had quite a lot, vast majority of their set was actually from the debut, The Prophecies of Ragnarok. We had The Death of the God of Light, we had Prophecy of Ragnarok, we had Yggdrasil, we had the Mead Song, we had Fire, Blood and Steel. We got the majority of the set from this first album, and as I say, this is probably my favourite of the 2 albums. But it was an absolutely superb set, tight musicianship, amazing vocal performance from their front lady there, and also the harsher vocals were great. We had such great crowd interaction there. It was absolutely superb. They really did have the crowd eating out of their hands there. And I have to say that these guys are really solid performers. We have Mats Helsen, Tongue of the Gods, as he features in here. It's almost like the additional frontman who provided additional sort of backing vocals for the harsher vocals, but was also in between songs performing the role of the bard, or he was the theatrical crowd interaction guy. He was there, he was giving the backstory, he was giving the chat in between songs, and it was really good. The whole performance, the whole piece was just excellently delivered. And I love the fact that they really didn't just go in straight away with all of the tracks that are going to come up immediately as soon as you type in Brothers of Metal to YouTube. They went for a few different things, even turning the Mead Song into a drinking game. Fantastic idea. But that was a work night for me, so I'll make up for it today with a few sherbets myself. So, after Brothers of Metal with their absolutely wonderful set, I was certainly very worried that they were going to upstage the headliners, and to be honest, the headliners were not better than Brothers of Metal. I think that they were on par with Brothers of Metal. I think that the crowd gave Gloryhammer quite a hard time. There was a lot of heckling. I think the mosh pit was lively from start to finish. People dressed as unicorns, people just having an absolute whale of a time. A lot of intoxication and inebriation going on there. Absolutely, each to their own. That's fine. But there was a lot of heckling in a jovial manner, but you could tell that the guys on stage, the band there, were having a little bit of a hard time trying to actually just get the show flowing, get the gig going as they wanted it to, and have the right sort of band crowd interaction that they really wanted to have. But they still persisted, they delivered their set, and they did fantastically. They were really good. Gloryhammer, I've actually seen them twice in 1 year. As last November I saw them main support to Ailstorm, also in Norwich, and they are a great band. In my opinion, they're one of these power metal bands, along with the likes of Dragon Force, shall we say, that they're quite extreme or epic power metal. But because of the extremity, because they tend to just go a little bit a few notches above what is comfortable for a lot of power metal fans. They tend to get lumped in with like parody metal or nonsense, no, the elitists, they don't want anything to do with that. I think these guys are unfairly chucked into that category. I think that they are a really solid power metal band. Yes, they are nonsensical with songs about unicorns and goblins and the invasion of Scotland from mystical creatures. Having said that, the music, the vocals are top notch. So I only actually have 2 of their albums, but the 2 that I do have, I think, are absolutely sterling albums. This was the debut. This is Tales from the Kingdom of Fife. Great artwork. Then we have the 3rd album, which is Gloryhammer, Legends from Beyond the Galactic Terror Vortex. Just rolls off the tongue. But they delivered some absolutely astounding versions of these tracks, as well as a new piece. They had Fly Away thrown into the mix just for good measure. But you had great cracking renditions of, well, certainly the closing track they did, finish their set was the Unicorn Invasion of Dundee, which is just a superb power metal track, absolute bruiser. We had great versions of Angus MacFife. We had Magic Dragon thrown in there. We had The Siege of Dunkeld, In Hoots We Trust. We had Gloryhammer, Hoots Force, and quite a number of tracks, obviously, from the other album, which I don't have, Space 1992. So yeah, great set list, really good stuff, really just uplifting power metal. Really good, enjoyable stuff, not too serious, good crowd interaction, banter, fine. As I say, the crowd was just a little bit hostile. I think a little bit drunk and a little bit too, shall we say, ready to just shout whatever came to mind first about hammers and boobs and whatever else. Nah, fine. The band persisted and they delivered a great set. Really enjoyable stuff. I would definitely recommend, if you're not familiar with Gloryhammer, either of these 2 albums worth checking out. And the other album, Space 1992, is a really solid album as well. For fans of Dragon Force, yes, but also plenty of other. If you're just a power metal fan and you like to listen to something a little bit more synthsy and off reservation, maybe try something a little bit different every now and then, give Gloryhammer a go. I think they're a really, really, really good band. Not to be underestimated. They are definitely going places in this scene. They're working on an album that comes out next year, and they will be back on the road, no doubt. An up-and-coming band, they'll want to get those tours in to support their new album. So overall, it was I'm going to give it a good 8 out of 10 night. Deduct a couple of points because I think it should have been headline Brothers of Metal, because they absolutely had the crowd eating out of their hands. Really friendly guys as well. They came out and met the fans after their set. Did get an opportunity to say hello, which is great. And also, I think that it just, I don't know, you wanted more. Maybe 8 out of 10 is a bit harsh. We'll go with 9 out of 10 then. You want it because you want more, and you're only allowed so much, I suppose, with the curfew. But also, I think the crowd let the band down when it came to Gloryhammer. A little bit too much unhelpful heckling. So there you have it. Check out those bands. I mean, I've already done Bands You Need to Hear of Brothers of Metal, and the other 2 are certainly going to follow. Not too many hints there. Have you ever seen these guys? Are you a fan? Let me know. I'm interested to hear. You take care, my friends. Catch these guys on the road while you can. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, and stay heavy.